if I painted a motorcycle on my lawn, could I jump on that motorcycle and drive away? And they said no. And I said, well, I can't grab that sign off my lawn and go put it in somebody else's yard, can I? And they said no. And I said, okay, it's not a sign. It's a work of art. A work of art, commemorating the best president the United States has ever had, baby.
Amen.
And I painted it 20 times during the election cycle, every week.
Trump 2020. Trump 2024. That's right. That's right.
I swear to God, I leave the news cycle for 5 minutes and we have another true winner in the I can't believe this QAnon MAGA dude won a federal election and might be on his way to Congress. Oh, and you probably already know this, but he's also a rapper. I beg you, check out JR and Ravana on the watch list talking about the many, many talents of JR Majewski. And so now for the totally unsurprising part of all this, he's been caught in quite the lie. Even more unsurprising, the lie is about his service in the armed forces, in that he didn't really, or at least he seriously misrepresented his time in the Air Force. This caused a whole scandal, but don't worry, Majewski has addressed the claims that he served largely in administrative roles despite claiming he was in combat by saying that his real location of service is classified and thus no one knows what he was really doing. He wrote on Twitter that the AP stated that I had only been deployed to Qatar. My records show my deployment location as classified. So typically when you're trying to exonerate yourself, you want affirmative proof of something. A paper full of redactions and black boxes doesn't exactly do much for your case, except put you into the complete box of Trump politicians. I thought this person's take on Twitter was really interesting though. The user Stone Kettle notes that Majewski did serve in the Air Force. Sure, it may have been in a clerical role or an administrative role, but as Stone Kettle says, lots of veterans served in similar positions, and there's nothing dishonorable about loading airplanes. Someone has to do it. But he then goes on to point out what's going on here. People like JR Majewski have these hyper-masculine army fetishes only about those senior roles in the army. Dive bombers and platoon leaders, and I don't really know a lot about the armed forces, but if you saw Top Gun, it's like all of those guys. Those are the only ones they care about. And this hyper-masculinity totally rejects the fact that all of the logistical roles are also veterans who served their country. But to guys like JR Majewski, those vets are losers. And this attitude plus his Capitol riot shenanigans prove that his patriotism is completely divorced from what it's really like to serve your country as an average American. So he's caught himself in a lie of his own making. And if he wins, you can be sure he will fight day in against veterans for protections they deserve, like healthcare, education, housing. But he's already spitting in the face of the millions of men and women who, like him, played a small role in the country's armed forces, because he doesn't care about them. He cares about his image. He cares about people like J.D. Vance, who he was just seen campaigning with. He cares about Donald Trump and a vision of America that is, like his own story, a completely false narrative. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.